Brother, welcome back to the Happy Man Coaching Channel. I'm your Happy Man Coach, Charlie McKeever, and today I'm going to walk and talk a little bit and just share some of my thoughts with you. I'm not going to be on camera. I'm just going to be doing some voice recording as I walk through my neighborhood. So walk along with me and join me, and let's see where this goes, okay? So one of the things that I was thinking about is that I had a conversation with a man yesterday who is kind of conflicted as to where he should live. He's been traveling around, he's been moving, kind of a world traveler, and he's been to some amazing places, and places that most people only can imagine going. Their own self-limiting beliefs, their financial constraints, their fears of being safe would keep them from booking that ticket and going on that trip. But this man has the skills, the adventure, the courage, the finances, whatever you want to call it, he's got it, right? He's taken the leap, and he's been traveling around, and he's gone to some amazing places, and he kind of takes it for granted because he sees it every day. It's just part of the backdrop of his story, and he doesn't think too much about it. But he's kind of in between worlds. He's in between places, in between cities, in between countries. He's kind of a man without a country, if you will. And he doesn't really know where he wants to land. His family is important to him. Friends are important to him. Community is important to him. But he's also got this sense of adventure, this sense of wanting to go out and accomplish and pursue his dreams and do the things that he wants to do. And so we spend a lot of time trying to get down to the core issue, trying to get clarity about what's important to him, what he values, how he wants to live, and who he wants to be, and how he wants to show up, and who he wants to share his time with, who he wants to spend time with, what it is that he wants out of a relationship with another person, whether or not he has something to give, something to offer, or whether he's looking to get something from that person, whether or not he is looking for that person to fulfill something in his life. And so a lot of times when we're having these conversations, when I'm talking with a man, what I'm trying to do is help him surface his answers, get to the point where he understands what's going on inside of him, because we are all subject to stimulus and response. This is a high school biology topic. It's something that's covered in a chapter that's kind of glazed over. You memorize it, regurgitate it on a test, and move on. Don't think too much about it. But really, the definition of life is that life responds to stimulus. When something moves away from light, or moves closer to light, moves away from pain, or closer to pleasure, it is defined as something that is alive. And so we are all subject to stimulus and response. And what happens is a lot of times we look outside of ourselves. We look at our job, we look at our relationship, we look at where we live, or our bank account, or the car we drive, or the friend circle that we have, and that's our stimulus. That's our outside external world. And that stimulus is something that we react to or respond to. And those two words are very important, react and respond, because they are very different in how we approach the stimulus, this external stimulus. So we have an external world, but we also have an internal world. And that internal world is what's most interesting, most important, because that's what we carry around with us all the time. So the external world is our stimulus, the internal world is our response. So at some point we decide, either consciously or unconsciously, reactively or proactively, responsively, to make choices about how to manage our insides. So for example, if we're trying to change a relationship, change a city, change a job, we first want to get really clear about what we're trying to accomplish. What is it that we're trying to achieve? What are we doing? What inside thing are we trying to manage? What are we looking to fulfill? What do we want to be different on the inside? Because change happens in two ways. Either something outside of us changes, job, relationship, weather, economy, natural disasters, that sort of thing. A lot of these things are outside of our control. or something inside of us changes. And that inside part is the part that we have agency over, the part that we can actually control. And that's the part that has the most long-lasting, long-term effects on us. Morning. That's our insides. When we change the inside perspective, we change the inside, that's when we find that we have the most transformational shift. We can lose a job, someone can die, we can get divorced, we can experience a natural disaster. But when we change our inside, we're able to manage those things, navigate those events much differently than if we needed the outside to be different. Anytime we need the outside to be different, we're going to be dependent. We're going to feel powerless. We're going to feel like we don't have choices, like somebody else is in control. That leads to depression. That's an energetic drawdown. We'd feel sad. We feel hopeless. And we get into a state where it robs us of our creativity, of our problem-solving skills, and we don't know what to do, and we feel like there's no path forward. There's no solution to our problem. Until something outside of us happens that seems positive. Maybe a sunshiny day, maybe a batch of cookies, maybe rubbing the head of a puppy, and at some point it lifts your spirits, you get into more of a creative flow, you think that maybe something will be possible, and you start to find solutions to your problems. This again is just being reactive to our outside state, our outside stimulus. And if we'll recognize this for ourselves, then we can say, hey, hold on, I can actually have thoughts about my thoughts. I can actually decide for myself what it is that I want to do. Instead of being reactive to my outside, my external, I can be proactive. I can choose my response. This puts us in the driver's seat. It puts us in control of our life. It gives us ownership and agency over ourselves. We're no longer dependent. We're no longer powerless. We're actually in a place where we can make choices about our life and choose how we want to live, who we want to be, where we want to live, how we want to spend our time, who we want to spend our time with. And this is really important. It's what helps us not feel like someone else is in control of our life. So if we're wanting to change our relationship, wanting to change our wife, wanting to change our job, wanting to change our city, our geographic location, our scenery, maybe, we have daydreams about packing up and running away from home and being a vagrant or a vagabond, right? Catching a boat someplace and just losing ourselves in the world. Well, we can do that, but we're also going to be there. Wherever we go, there we are, right? And so we really want to get curious about our insides. We really want to get curious about what's going on. And this is what I help men with. This is what I talk with guys about all the time. We have conversations. We go deep. We talk about things that guys normally don't allow themselves to even think about. They're uncomfortable thinking about these things because a lot of times they're afraid of disappointing someone. They're afraid of disappointing their wife. They're afraid of being seen as bad, as like they're a bad man or a bad boy. Like mama's going to be upset, like they've done something wrong, and because they've done something bad, they are bad. And so even thinking about these things can make them uncomfortable, so they'll avoid it. They'll push it away. They'll distract themselves with food or alcohol or sports or work or anything that keeps them from feeling the uncomfortable feelings. And so we have these conversations and we go deep and we say things that we normally don't say to anyone. And by surfacing that and finally facing it, like this, like facing it, turning toward it instead of away from it, get an opportunity to understand the boundaries of it, the rough edges. We bring things into focus, get really super clear about what is important to him, what is important to his life, who he wants to be, what he'll agree to, what he won't agree to, what he wants to say no to, what it is that he wants to set boundaries for, what it is he's been allowing in his life that he doesn't want to agree to anymore. And this gives him a sense of self, a sense of control, a sense of ownership of himself and his life. He can make choices and decisions for himself. And the more clear he gets about these things, the easier those choices are, because he knows that he knows. It's not something that he has to be unsure or unclear about. It's something that he has crystal clarity about, and that he knows this is how he wants to live, and who he wants to be, and where he wants to go, and who he wants to spend time with, where he wants to spend his energy, his life energy. And so this is what I'm inviting you into: a conversation, a phone call. Go to happymancoaching.com/contact, fill out the contact form there. Tell me a little bit about yourself so I know who I'm talking to when we get on the phone, and we're going to get to know each other. We're going to talk about what's going on with you. I'm going to listen to what you're saying and understand where you're coming from, be able to relate to you. You're not alone in these things. You're not insane. You're not crazy. And what you want for yourself is not bad. You're not a bad man. The men that I talk to really are very good men. They're men who are confused, men who are frustrated, men who have become resentful, and who feel trapped, who feel like Uber drivers and ATM machines and security guards and maintenance men, because there are things in their life that they have agreed to that has made them feel less than, has made them feel like someone else is in control of their life. And once they start taking back that ownership for themselves and making choices for themselves and being honest about what it is that they want, they start experiencing something entirely different. And what's incredible is that when their insides begin to change, right? When their thinking begins to change, then somehow, magically, their outsides begin to change. People in their life interact with them differently. Their wife comes closer. They actually renew that connection, that intimacy that they want with their wife. He's no longer prickly. He's no longer that menacing looking hound that you don't know if you can pet it on the head or if it's going to bite you. And she starts to respond. She starts to react to him differently because she's got an inside world and she's got an outside world, and he's part of her outside world. And so when he starts showing up differently, she starts showing up differently, and then life is different for him. So happymancoaching.com/contact, fill out that form. Let's set up a call. Let's talk about what's going on, and let's get you on the path to choosing something different, to experiencing something different. And let's focus on the insides and see how the outsides change for you. All right, brother, that's what I have for you today. I'll talk to you soon.